Heißt was a new security guard at Isabella Garner Museum, who was on patrol with his flashlight and walkie-talkie. At that time, a voice came from Heiß's walkie-talkie.
Heißt, quickly return to the security desk.
His colleague, Aboth, tell him to go back to the security desk because something happened. Suddenly, Heißt heard a sound. And then he ran toward the source of the sound. A bright light shone on him. He saw his friend Aboth tied up beside him. Then, as he turned, he saw the two police officers standing in front of him, and they said,
"This is a robbery."
Those two police officers were the culprits. But how did those two police officers plan to steal $500 million worth of paintings in one night? March 18, 1990, precisely during the St. Patrick's Day celebration. Two men disguised as police officers were seen parked in a hatchback on Palace Road. At 12:30 a.m., they parked about 100 feet from the side entrance. When so many people had returned from the St. Patrick's party, it was their time to act. They walked towards the entrance and rang the buzzer, which connected them to Rick Aboth, the museum's security. They explained through an intercom that they were police investigating a disturbance and they must be admitted. Aboth could see them on the CCTV wearing police uniforms, but he didn't notice anything strange. Aboth thought that someone had climbed the museum fence, so the police came. Then he opened the door for the two policemen. They entered and approached Aboth at the security desk, asking if there was anyone else besides him in the museum. Aboth answered that there was only him and his colleague, Randy Heißt. At that moment, Aboth also noticed something odd about the two policemen and told Heißt to go back to the security desk. The shorter policeman immediately pointed at Aboth and said that he resembled the person they were looking for. They also had a warrant for his arrest. So the policeman forced Aboth to leave the security desk because that was where the panic button to call the police was located, and the shorter man pushed him against a wall, spread his legs, and handcuffed him. At that moment, Heiß's footsteps were heard approaching the room. The taller policeman prepared to arrest Heißt near the door. When Heißt entered, the taller policeman immediately turned him toward the wall and handcuffed him. The guards' heads and eyes were wrapped with duct tape by the police. Without seeking guidance, they took the guards to the basement, where they were restrained with handcuffs to a steam pipe and workbench. The thieves managed to subdue the guards in under 15 minutes, and finishing by around 1:34 a.m. After that, the thieves began their heist. At 1:48 a.m., the thieves moved to the Dutch room on the second floor. They wanted to steal a lot of paintings such as The Storm on the Sea of Galilee and A Lady and Gentleman in Black. But suddenly, an alarm was triggered. It was designed to notify when people came too close to artwork. So, the thieves quickly silenced the device by damaging it. They forcibly removed The Storm on the Sea of Galilee and A Lady and Gentleman in Black from the wall, then threw them onto the marble floor, causing the glass frames to shatter. Finally, they used a blade to cut the canvases from their stretchers. Not only that, they took down a large oil painting of Rembrandt's self-portrait from the wall. However, after several minutes, they realized it would be difficult to steal this painting because it was too heavy to carry. The Rembrandt self-portrait was painted on wood, not canvas like the others, so they left it leaning on a cabinet. The thieves instead took a small postage stamp-sized self-portrait under the larger portrait. On the opposite side of the room, they removed Landscape with Obelisk and The Concert from their frames. The final piece taken from the room was an ancient Chinese gu. At 1:51 a.m., one of the thieves left the Dutch room and entered a narrow hallway known as the Short Gallery on the opposite end of the second floor. He began to remove screws from a frame displaying a Napoleonic flag, presumably attempting to steal it. However, he were unable to fully remove the screws. Another thief came to help, but they still couldn't manage to take the flag. so they decided to only stow the exposed eagle finial atop the flagpole and left the Napoleonic flag. They also took 5 Degas sketches from the room, which were La Sortie de Passage, Cortège aux Environs de Florence, 3 mounted jockeys, and Programme for an Artistic Soirée. The last work stolen was Chez Tortoni from the Blue Room on the first floor. No one knows what the thieves did because the museum's motion detectors did not detect any motion within the Blue Room. But how about the CCTV? The thieves had planned their escape route, making it impossible for the police to pursue them. They took the video cassettes containing evidence of their entry from the CCTV, as well as the data printouts from the motion detecting equipment. But they didn't notice one thing. The movement data was also captured on a hard drive, which remained untouched. Finally, one thief left at 2:40 a.m., and the other left 5 minutes after the first one. Overall, in 81 minutes they managed to steal 13 works of art worth $500 million. Nobody was aware of this incident until the morning. When the new guards came in, they noticed something strange. They couldn't contact the guard inside the museum, so they told the security boss to use his keys to get inside. After they successfully opened the door, they found no one at the security desk. Then they saw the guards were duct taped in the basement, so they called the police immediately. The FBI took immediate control of the case on the grounds that the artwork could likely cross state lines. Investigators have called the case unique for its lack of strong physical evidence. Although fingerprints and footprints were found at the scene, it could not be concluded whether they were from the thieves or from museum employees. The guards and people nearby helped the FBI to describe the robbers. One was about 5 feet 9 inches tall, in his late 30s, kind of average build, and the other was 6 feet tall, in his early 30s and a bit heavier. The FBI also found that the thieves were not experts commissioned to steal particular works, because the thieves passed other valuable works, which were by Raphael, Botticelli, and Michelangelo. They chose to take relatively valueless items such as the goo and finial. Moreover, they also left the most expensive painting in the building untouched, which was The Rape of Europa by Titian, which was hanging in a third-floor gallery. After a lot of investigation, the FBI failed to uncover any leads regarding the 13 stolen artworks. Consequently, on March 21, 1990, the museum offered a $1 million reward for any information that could lead to the safe recovery of the stolen masterpieces. Suddenly, in 1994, the museum director, Anne Hawley, received an anonymous letter from someone who claimed to be attempting to negotiate a return of the artwork. The writer said that he could facilitate the return of the paintings in exchange for $2.6 million. But the writer also requested full immunity from prosecution for the thieves. If the museum was interested in negotiating, they should print a coded message in the Boston Globe. To establish credence, the writer conveyed information only known by the museum and FBI. Hawley felt this was a strong lead, so she contacted the FBI, who then reached out to the Boston Globe. The coded message was printed in the May 1, 1994 edition of the Boston Globe, signaling a willingness to negotiate. A week later, the museum got another letter from the anonymous writer. The writer were worried because the police were acting aggressively after he sent the first letter to the museum. The writer said they needed some time to think about what to do and to make sure that the whole process would be kept secret, but after that, he never wrote to the museum again. The FBI was also puzzled about how the thieves had known all the details of the museum's security system. They knew where the data from the motion detectors was stored, where the CCTV recordings were kept, and even knew about the hidden door in the Dutch room. The FBI also suspected the security guard, which was Richard Edward Abath, because of his suspicious behavior on the night of the theft. First, while on patrol, Abath briefly opened and closed a side door, a move that some believe could have been a signal to the thieves parked outside. Abath claimed it was routine, but colleagues doubted this, as supervisors would have noticed such behavior. Second, suspicion has surrounded the museum's motion detectors, which did not detect any movement in the Blue Room, which housed Chez Tortoni. The only footsteps in the room that night were Abath's during his security patrol before Heston's turn. Additionally, In 2015, the United States Attorney's Office in Massachusetts released a rare security camera footage. This grainy video showed a vehicle pulling up to a rear entrance of the museum 24 hours before the heist. The FBI noted that the car resembles the general description of a vehicle reported to have been parked outside the museum. Furthermore, the footage captures Abath, who was on duty on March 17th, opening the same side doors used by the thieves and allowing an unidentified individual wearing a waist-length coat and an upturned collar to enter. This incident occurred nearly 24 hours before the thieves gained entry through the same door. But unexpectedly, the FBI was even more confused because the video raised more questions than answers. Until now, no one has been able to resolve this issue. Therefore, the museum has announced an increase in the reward to $10 million for anyone who can provide information directly leading to the safe return of the stolen works. Individuals whose information contributes to the recovery of some of the works will receive a partial reward. Overall, the 13 stolen works of art still remain a mystery,